studying UFOs and nuclear bases. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Robert Hastings, let me give a little bit of background on him. Robert Hastings
paranormal field. As a child, she communicated with spirits, animals, and angels. Ghosts and Girls Paranormal.com. Wow, that would be a tongue twister if I had to say that a few times, let me tell you. So I will just wait for Joe to bring her on in and we'll get the show started. And there she is. How are you? Click on your microphone. I can't hear you. Go take the mute button off. There you are. There you are. You're very low. Yep.
I guess it's because I talk low.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you still sound a little bit low. I've turned up my volume a little bit. You might have. Do you have a volume control on your mic?
No.
It would be in your computer.
Let's see here. No, I can't.
And while you're doing that, I'm just going to go approve all these posts. And we are live. Okay. Add profile. There we are. Excellent. Yeah, I think you have to go into your settings. Oh. Just ready to go with everything. Okay, and unmute your microphone.
That better?
Much better. Wow.
Headsets.
That's okay. There you are. So how are you?
I'm doing good. It's 85 degrees here today. My favorite weather.
Very nice. I wish I could say it was 85 degrees here, but it's nowhere near. So, not good. Not good. Just want to bring to your attention, you'll notice to the right of the screen, there's comments. There's a little comment box at the top. If you click on that, any comments that come in through any of the chats, you will also be able to see.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. So just if they happen to start chatting, you'll be able to see anything that I'm seeing. So there we go. So you've been working. It's 85 degrees. That's nice. So
yeah, today's my day off. I get Wednesdays off, so it makes it nice.
Oh, wow. So I imagine you've been very crazy with everything going on.
Yeah, 50, 60-hour weeks. It's like it gets a little crazy.
Yeah, no kidding. I guess it doesn't leave much time for a whole lot of anything else either, does it?
No.
No. Well, that's no fun.
I know, right?
No shenanigans for June.
Nothing but the demon removals on the weekends and evenings. So there you go.
That's pretty much how it goes. We allocate a couple of days a week also for that. I'm doing radio shows all the rest of the time, so you have to take some time to, to get
you
all
gotta
that.
have some time for yourself as well. That's the thing. Trying to find time for me is hard.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a thing.
Yeah.
I haven't had a whole lot of that. I probably spend at least 25 hours a week just researching for one show, not counting anything else. So it's like, God.
Yeah,
and that doesn't count the gray zone. That's just that's the other shows.
Exactly.
That doesn't count. Outer Realm, thankfully, it's just, knowing our lovely guests. And since you're sort of a repeat offender here on the Outer Realm, yeah, it was already easy to do.
Right. That's true.
So tonight we're going to be, I guess, talking about probably a lot of things, but the dark side of the paranormal. I know I've been doing this. You've doubled me on time. I've been, doing this 18 years, and it's amazing the amount of people that message me on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
have you noticed, since everything that's going on, without saying the C word, depressing everybody, with everything that's going on, do you find that you're getting more calls or emails because of mindset and things like that?
Yeah, I get a lot of that, and it seemed to pick up. Actually, it's picked up in the last 2 years. But a lot more people. You stop and think about it. There's a lot of depression and fear and anxiety. So, of course, this is everything that the negatives feed off of. So, they're like, let's have a party, man.
Pretty much, if you're just putting it out there, I definitely, that's you're going to end up with a lot of trouble. We end up with a lot of people who are either grieving, obviously, like you say, mindset, people who are, depressed, full of anxiety, or addictions of sorts.
Yeah.
Because of course these things just love to amp that sort of stuff up.
Oh yeah. Yep.
I find with people who are grieving, and tell me if you feel the same, I think they want a message, or they just want something so desperately from their loved one that they don't realize perhaps a mimic is coming in and filling that void, and with acceptance becomes a form of invitation, which of course then starts a whole other melee of problems.
Definitely. It leaves you open to anything and everything. And unfortunately, the negatives, they take full advantage of that. They can make, as you well know, can make you see them as they wish to be perceived. So if they can look like the deceased person that they're trying to communicate with. And of course, that opens a whole can of worms right there.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I think, they say that when a negative energy comes in, however, that there are small differences between them, let's say, and, the real deal, being the spirit person, individual of your loved one.
Right.
Can you explain that, maybe some of those differences to people, so that they know what to look for?
One of the main differences you'll notice is that even though the image or the impression of the individual is there, if you look at the eyes will tell you that it's not them, because they won't have, like say blue eyes. They'll have dark eyes, or they'll have red eyes, or gold colored eyes. So I tell people, I said, the eyes are truly the window to the soul. So if you look in them and they're dark, it's like, wait a minute, let me think about that one. That's not who it's supposed to be, who it's purporting to be.
So that's something that's not a thing. That's what I find also.
Yeah.
Or their clothes may be out of proportion, or, for example, my mother had an experience where she thought she saw my father, who is still alive, by the way, but he's got Alzheimer's and is always leaving the body. Right. So anyway, she had an experience with an entity of sorts that came in, and she goes, his clothes look miles too big for him. He just stared blankly, and I'm like, that's just definitely not Dad, because he never stops talking.
Yeah. So the characteristics are all off.
Yes, exactly. So before we go any further, like, what prompted you? Like, I know how I got into the field. It was with an experience. A lot of people get into the field because of an experience. What made you decide, you know what, I'm just going to do this. This is my thing. I can do this, and then do it.
I've always had abilities from the time I was born on. My grandmother raised me for the first 6 years, and it was a case of, right away she knew I could communicate with animals and elementals, and of course people on the other side, and as well as, of course, Michael's always been around. And so she tried to help me to understand that, and of course I could see demons even at small age. I could see them, but it changed when I was about 5 or 6. I used to see him as, just like most people see him, black mass, that sort of thing. But at that age, the angelic eyes kicked in, and I can see them in their true form. So Michael's like, don't be afraid. This is how we see them. So you're seeing them through angelic eyes. Says that's why. He says, I want you to study them. I want you to watch them. I want you to see what they do, how they work, because you're going to need it later in life. And when you're a kid, you're thinking, oh, whatever, Michael says, do this, you just do it.
Yes. Yes.
And so I've been helping people I did it all through my teenage years. And when I went in the military, I had to be careful because, military.
Yes.
So, but people that knew me would come to me. And I really didn't start doing the demonic removal until, even though I could see them, hear them, understand them, and communicate with them, never really did anything until I died in 1988 in a motorcycle accident and went to the other side. And Michael's there. My grandparents were there to greet me, and Michael was there, and he says, you don't understand. This intercession, so to speak, is for you to understand who and what you are. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just me. And he says, no, you don't understand. And he touched my forehead. And I relived the last 130 lives that I lived, my prior 130 lives, all in the space of, a second or two. And then when I finished that, he said, look down at yourself. And it wasn't my body. It was Ariel. He said, you're 7 feet tall. You have a 12-foot wingspan, and your hair is like, dark auburn. Your eyes are icy green, blue, and you're like full of piss and vinegar, so to speak.
Right.
He says, this is who you truly are. He says, you're Ariel. He says, she's a demon slayer, one of the 5 that guard the throne of God. And he says, you're meant to do what she does so well, which is demonic removal. And when I came back into my body, it's like, I got to look that up because I'd never even heard of Ariel, and so I looked it up on the web, and the only thing you can find at that time was her name means Lion of God, and that she's one of the 5 that guard the throne of God. But the thing is, they don't know even a quarter of what she is, so they have no clue. Because once this happened, Michael did what he calls a merge or a blending, to where my consciousness and her consciousness are one. And so what she sees, feels, thinks, I feel the same thing. I can see the same thing. I know what she's thinking. I know what she wants to do. But it was getting her to behave that was the issue, because she was like, on it. I mean, the minute she senses something negative, she comes forward. And I had been doing the removals for some years and always wondered why people looked at me funny afterwards. And it wasn't until a friend of mine said, you have wings coming out of your shoulders, and your eyes turn white, and your face and your voice are much younger. I'm like, yeah, right. I don't have a mirror. I can't see, and I'm a little busy when I'm doing this stuff.
Right.
That's why people always looked at me weird.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't care. Just get the job done.
Yeah, that's extraordinary. Do you find you get some resistance with that when you try to explain this to people?
No, because once they see it,
yes,
they're like on board.
Yes.
Like, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, yay.
Just do it. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yes. So, okay, well, that's definitely interesting. So basically she comes forward and you just don't even have a memory. You come out of it and it's like, what happened? What's my name? How does it work exactly?
No, how it works is my consciousness gets pushed to the back.
Right.
And she comes forward, but I can see everything that she sees. I'm fully aware of everything that's going on. So which is quite neat in some ways, because then I know what happened. I can, she goes into the demon's mind. She can pull out the information, why it's there, what attracted it, how long it's been there, that sort of thing. And so, of course, I get the information at the same time. So afterwards, when I talk to the people, I let them know, how it happened and why it happened and that sort of thing.
Right.
So
right.
It makes it much easier to deal with the human aspect of it.
Yeah, that's just it, this human journey that we're all experiencing. I just want to make note to Pedro, who said he was once asked to say, what color were the Buddha's eyes in a picture on the internet? Everybody saw them as blue. He saw them as black. That's unusual to see that in a photo, but I guess, I read photos. I guess it's easy to do.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, photo. That's interesting.
Well,
Buddha.
Buddha. Demons can make you see them as they wish to be perceived.
Right.
And so they can manipulate what you see so that if they wish you to see the eyes black, then you'll see them black.
Yes.
It's all about, how they wish to be perceived and how they manipulate your brain.
Well, I have to ask because I know in my years of doing this, there's a lot of naysayers. You have people who don't believe at all, or they don't believe in demons. They think that they're all extraterrestrials. Some people believe there are both. I know there's a lot of similarities in cases I've done with, let's say, a reptilian extraterrestrial who might be confused for, a demonic. I know that they can use the same portals or bridges or gateways, things of that nature. So what are your thoughts on that?
They're two separate things. I've communicated telepathically with ETs, and the ones that I communicate with, I didn't like. I shut it down because what they were looking for were people with abilities. Yes. And it's like, just shut it down because I don't want to deal with that. Demons themselves are totally different in the way that they're more. It's kind of weird to say, but they're more of this world, shall we say, than than the ETs are, and it's just it's hard for me to explain because it's like I know a demon's coming before it even comes. I know where it's going to be. Sometimes it's a year in advance that I know. It's just a matter of waiting. You just wait until the time is right. But they're definitely something different. They have a different energy about them. Demons are created out of a complex form of energy, just as the angels are. It's different complexes, different frequencies. It's all, you have to tune yourself into it. My brain just automatically does. So it's like, they speak in Aramaic and my brain is hardwired to just interpret what they're saying. Whereas, if somebody can hold my hand, which only a few people have done, and they can see what I see.
Right.
And they never want to see it again because I don't see them as a preconceived notion. I see them as they truly are. Their true image. And, if they're about 7 feet tall, they have a 12-foot wingspan. They're a lot like archangels in similarity. That's where it ends. They're black, kind of an ebony black, some shades of gray. And their eyes, the face, or what there is of the face, is the thing that, that all your fears and nightmares are made of. And their eyes are either gold or they're red. And it's like, for me, I'm so used to seeing them that way, I don't pay no attention. It's like, okay, fine, whatever. But if you, like Zach Baggins, when he held my hand, he don't ever want to do that again because he saw what I saw and he is not wanting to repeat the experience.
Right.
It's not a good thing.
Right.
And, the few people, the 3 people that have, they've never forgot. It's something that nightmares are made of. And because people say, well, you speak so matter of fact about it. And I'm like, because it is. For me, it's matter of fact. I've dealt with them all my life. So it's nothing new for me. It's what I do. It's God's work and I'm supposed to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I have no choice in the matter. Ariel doesn't give me much choice either because she's like right on it.
Yes, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
We all have, everyone has their calling,
Yeah.
It's just, I've been doing this 18 years, definitely working, getting rid of them. I've never found difficult to do. What I find more difficult to do is dealing with people, and that's not every case. Some of them have been real bastards, okay, and they do take a lot longer. But I find the most difficult part is working with someone's mindset. It's like taking someone who's lived as a hostage, let's say, with an attachment for so many years of their lives, let's say, and then trying to convince them that no, not everything you see is going to be something, that you actually are safe, and you need to reframe everything that's going on up here now.
Yes. Yeah. You need to change that mindset, because if you don't, you'll end up, so to speak, infected again, because you'll just call them to you. You just, they know, they got your number. They know who they attach and who they don't. And they know, the residual energy that's left within them has to be cleansed, because, the dark energy will remain there and they'll attract others. And people don't understand that. It's not just a case of, going and pulling the demon out or going and killing the demon. It's a matter of changing the way you're thinking about it, changing your mindset, letting go of that. I was in on a possession case where the woman had 11 entities in her, and it was 20 years worth of living like that. It was horrible. And Ariel was actually out for 3 hours. She's never out that long. But in the end, I took a friend of mine who's an ordained minister, and my other friend that forms Ghosts and Girls. And I told the minister, I said, Aaron, I told him, I said, God told me I have to take you because you fear the dark ones. I said, and you can't fear the dark ones and do his work. So you need to understand. This is all about helping you understand. So we got to the point where there was just one entity left, and it wasn't budging. And of course, you don't want to harm the individual. So you're like, okay. And I know by reaching into its mind what the issue is. It was sent to do a job for Lucifer, and it just didn't bother to do it. Just went off and blew him off. So Lucifer so Lucifer had been looking for him for a while.
Faux pas. Yeah.
And it had been hiding out in this woman. And I'm like, do you want to go home? I said, do you want to go back to the light? It's possible for you to go back to the light. I said, do you want that? And it was tempted. I said, I'll ask Jesus to come for you. And my friends are like standing in front of me and the woman, and I'm behind the woman. And Jesus' hand came out and my two friends parted the ways as his hand came out. And that it changed its mind. It says, no, you're lying. I can't go home. I can never go home. And so Jesus withdrew. And I said, you had your chance. I said, that's it. And Ariel said, Lucifer, come forth. And my friends saw this entity coming down the hallway towards us. What they saw was, somebody wearing a fedora, a double-breasted suit, spats. That's the image he gave them. Of course, I saw him in his true form. And he told the demon, you need to come with me. That's it. You're coming with me. And the demon's like, no. And
I'm good.
And Lucifer looked at me, Ariel, and said, I know you don't want me to harm the woman. I'll be back. And so he walked back down the hall and disappeared. And I said, it'll be over by tonight. I said, you'll see. So we all left, and my friends are still in shock. They're like, what just happened? For the minister's like, I always knew that Jesus and God were there, and I always knew that, Lucifer was there. He says, but to see them both in the same place at almost virtually the same time, he says that just blew my mind. I'm like, well, you need to understand that the light is powerful, and you need not be afraid of the dark ones, because as long as you have the light, the dark ones have no power over you.
Mm-hmm.
And so we all went to our respective beds, and about 3 a.m., we all woke up at the same time, and I heard Lucifer say, "It's done." So I called the woman the next day, and I told her, she says, "I've never felt like this in so many years. It's ridiculous." I said, "Go get counseling." I said, "You have PTSD. Please go get counseling." I said that you've got 20 years of this. I said, "You need the counseling. You need to talk to somebody. I'm not a counselor. I don't do humans." There you go.
There we go. Exactly. Pedro wants to know what you thought of the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which of course is the story of Annalise Michel. Right?
I never saw it.
Really?
I don't watch movies like that. I've heard of it and seen trailers, but I don't watch movies like that. And Michael didn't want me watching things like that in the beginning when I started doing removals. He says, you have to form your own, take on things. Says, I don't want you to be influenced by these Hollywood things and by books and stuff like that. He says, this is something that Ariel knows from, over 2,000 years of experience. So she knows what to do. She knows what their weaknesses are. He says, you don't need to watch all this stuff and get it. I mean, these days I can watch it. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I laugh because a lot of it is just Hollywood, but whatever.
Yeah, to a degree, absolutely. Some of them are way over the top. Annalise Michel, of course, was possessed, did have the stigmata, and did die from it. And the priest who assisted her, of course, was on trial for her death. It was an interesting film. I thought it was very well done for what it was. Of course, anytime Hollywood's in something, of course, it's going to be a little bit embellished, shall we say.
Oh, yeah.
But I did think, for what it was pretty well done. Well, it was a sad story,
Well, in that case, it's a double-edged sword for the priest because the demons make it so that the priest goes on trial. Exactly. They've got a hand
double
in
win.
It. Always, yeah.
Double win, absolutely.
Always.
Yeah, it's sad. I find that people who live most of their lives with an attachment in an oppressed situation often don't even have any idea. They're just like, oh, I've had things around me forever. Seems like every place I move into is haunted. It feels,
feels like I've got a black cloud hanging over my head.
I know. Yeah.
I'm jinxed. Exactly. I'm cursed. All the above. Yes. Yeah, I've heard so many.
And it's not until you remove it where they're like, well, this is what it's supposed to feel like. This is pretty good. But there are some people who they don't do well with it. After being, released, they don't do well with it because they've never known how to exist without it.
Yeah. It's become a way of life.
Exactly. And things are always easy if you comply.
Yeah.
Right. So people, note to self, don't comply. That's not how things are done.
Yeah.
So he said, did you notice she was only attacked by demons after she left her hometown and went away to college, far from her family, when she left her comfort zone? Well, it could be a lot of different reasons. It could be wrong place, wrong time. She may have been staying in a dormitory that had activity. She could have all of a sudden been, fearful for being away from home. I don't remember the whole story exactly, but there are many different reasons.
Sometimes a person can be watched by a demon, stalked by a demon for years and never even know it. And then when it makes the decision to attach itself or to influence, then it's like wham. But before that, you're going along normal. You don't think about anything, and once it's made up its mind, then there you go.
It's true, and it's sad for me. I'm just going to get on here, make sure. Okay, it's sad for me when I see people in that situation because no matter how many times I've seen it, I think it's just how some people perceive it to be such an amazing experience. I'm in control. Oh, are you?
Yeah,
You're the one in
good.
control.
Yeah, right.
What was I thinking? But it's a sad. It is very sad because
Yeah,
it's just like there's not much you can do for people like that. And I've
no,
seen people who have died with an attachment, and there's still an attachment with the spirit in the
hmm
afterlife.
right.
You have to do the separation,
hmm
you
Yeah,
know, and it's just then there's that realization.
yeah.
And it's
It
sad.
is
People don't
sad.
realize this really is for eternity
Yeah, yeah.
if you let it go.
Yeah, that's why you don't. If you can, I've had people say, I've been looking for years and years and years, and then I found you, and I'm like, I've always been here.
Yeah.
It's only been, the last, since like 2009 that I've really gone out there and said, you need help? Fine. Get a hold of me. I'll help.
Mm-hmm.
And, I can't believe the amount of people that can't find help. It's crazy. Or they find somebody that's not real. They find fakes, and that
A lot of
bothers me a
this.
lot. Yeah.
A lot of this.
Yep. That's why, when I started doing what I do, I'm like, I don't want to be called a demonologist because that has a negative connotation for me, because
Yeah, I don't like that.
I've dealt with ones that were fakes. And
Mm-hmm.
my grandma, who was from Ireland, and she's been gone since 79, she said, listen, why don't you call yourself what we call you in Ireland, a demon seer? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, that sounds better than the other. People don't know what a demon seer is. It's like, yeah, I said, I can see them. I can hear them. I
Mm-hmm.
can communicate with them. I see them in their true form.
Mm-hmm.
I can remove them. And in certain cases, I can kill them.
Mm-hmm.
Simple.
Mm-hmm. When you say you can translate, you automatically go, because I mean, I've got recordings of
hmm
growly demonics in Aramaic.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what the hell Aramaic. Just like what?
Yeah. It's one of the, I have a
Old
dictionary,
language.
yeah, it's an old language, the old language. And yeah, my
Yes.
brain is just kind of hardwired. The minute they speak, it's like, it's hardwired to translate into English.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, okay, fine. Call me everything but a white woman. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Make threats. Okay, fine. I'm laughing at
Yes.
you. Fine, whatever you
Yes.
want.
Yeah, this is a fairly lengthy. It's a fairly lengthy audio. Like I was
Mhm,
surprised because usually you'll get little bits and pieces, but
mhm.
this is a full on lengthy audio. And yes, exactly, Pedro. It was a language that Jesus used. Absolutely.
Yep.
But it's still used in Syria to this day,
Oh yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is still a language that is being in use. So I was amazed. This was sent to me by someone who requested assistance. And out of all kinds of recordings, because they would record themselves while they were praying or while they were smudging or doing all kinds of things, to document.
That was an old demon.
Oh
Old
yeah.
demons are very intelligent.
And
Yeah.
he sounded like he was old. He sounded like
Yeah.
very big, because of the deep. I've got so many hours of demonic EVPs. It's not even funny. The growly,
Yeah.
the all the cuss
Yeah.
words, but they're in English.
Yeah.
They're in English. This was the first one that I've actually heard in Aramaic, and
the old ones have a tendency to like the old language. Yeah.
exactly.
Lucifer, whenever we speak, it's in the old language, and people don't realize there is a hierarchy. There is a respect. Lucifer respects the archangels, especially the demon slayers. I have a friend that lives in Scotland, and within him resides Hanel, the archangel. And Hanel and Lucifer were great friends before all the war and before the war came down. And so he drops by to visit him from time to time. And it was a couple of weeks ago, and he goes, Elle was by again. I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, you have a nice conversation? And he's like, ugh. And I said, next time he comes by, I said, ask him what his impression or his opinion of Ariel is. And he came to visit the following week, and he asked him, asked Lucifer and Lucifer's Lucifer said, respect the assassin.
Yes. But you know what? I think you are correct in that, because I know myself, I've always had an unusual technique. I'm just in your face, or I laugh, or, like, you're this, and I'm like, I know, you're just a bitch. I know, I just can't help it. I know, and I'm not mocking. For me, that's just no, because that's showing strength, that's showing firmness,
Right. You cannot show
and
any weakness at
no,
all,
no.
because they're on it. They're
Mhm.
on it in a heartbeat.
Yes.
They know that I'm not afraid of them. I don't care. I have respect for the ones that deserve respect, like the old
Mhm.
ones. But the young ones, the lesser demons, they're on hormones, hormonal teenagers, and I have no respect for them.
It's true. The older ones seem to pick their battles, as stern as they are, because this specific individual who requested assistance, it was not an issue getting rid of even the old one, getting rid of all of them. And he never returned. Like, sometimes they'll just send others, or the others will come in, but he never returned. And within 2 months, the family, thank God their mindset was right, because this had been ongoing for many, many years, and there was never any other issues.
Yeah, that's the key right there. Yeah, that you don't dwell on it, you don't make a big deal out of it. It is what it is. It's over. I move on. I'm a child of God. Move on.
No, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Like, it's like I said, it just seems like the older ones seem to be the wise ones. I once did a location where one spoke. I could hear it come through the telephone because I was on the line with a client, and it's like everything shook. It was such a rumble, a loud, deep voice that I couldn't understand, probably Aramaic, and because I was over the phone, I wasn't there. And she's like, "Oh my God!" She goes, "The floor just shook. What happened?" She couldn't hear it coming through with her from her end, because I'm hearing it coming from her.
Right.
And I was just, I'm pretty sure I actually recorded it. I learned to keep recorders on whenever I saw that number come up. I'm like, just because I know.
Okay, here we go.
It's that love-hate relationship.
I know. They utilize the phones and stuff. I was talking to Jeff Ballinger when he was trying to get me onto, Ghost Adventures. He was interviewing me, and the demon came through on my cell phone as I was talking to him. He's like, "What is that?" I said, "Oh, nothing, just a demon. Just ignore him. It's fine. Move on." You were saying.
Yeah.
He's like, "Okay."
This has always happened. Yeah.
This is a part of my life. Just I live with it. There you go. They come to the radio. They come to the phone. Whatever.
No.
Doesn't matter.
No. Yeah, it's amazing how they work.
I find that they come through when they're afraid.
That's an interesting thing. Yes.
They know once someone contacts me and they're trying to ward me off, because they're afraid. And because once the connection is made, they know Ariel's there. And they want to warn me off. They want to keep me from getting the connection with the individual. I've had people say, I've tried to get through to you every which way, and I couldn't get through. And then finally I got through. And I'm like, it's just a negative. Don't worry about it. It is what it is. When the time is right, you'll get through, because everything happens when it's supposed to happen.
Again, I completely agree. When you go through it, I guess it's easy to have an understanding of it. People don't realize that these things can, call you. I've had so many voicemail messages left, and I'm just like, what? It is a thing. Oh, hey, Katie. It is a thing. And I think to those who don't believe, that these sort of things can happen, I think it's a silly assumption.
Yeah. And the ones that don't believe and they mock, and then it happens to them, and you're the first one they call. It's like I have a local group that shall remain nameless. And they said, well, they were spreading this rumor saying that I'm arrogant and all this. And I know who said it. So I went up to the head guy of the thing, said, listen, if I can't do what I say I can do, I said, you can call me arrogant. I said, but if I can do what I say I can do, and I can, don't call me arrogant. Because you'll be calling me when you need me.
And I might just not answer the phone.
I might just be busy that day.
That's right.
Thanks.
I'm washing my hair. Exactly. Taking care of these red locks.
I'm getting my nails done, man. Don't bother me.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. People love to judge, but until you walk in your shoes, don't do it. It's not as easy as a lot of people think that it is. And you clean up a lot of messes from other people who think that investigating is just going around and video and audio recording and taking pictures and interviewing people. You have to really... And
opening up portals, which is always nice.
That's true. Yeah. Those are fun, aren't they? Yeah.
Say thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly. It's one more job. So
one more thing to do. Thank you.
Oh, exactly. So basically then, let's just go to the basics for anybody who's tuning in. What is a negative entity?
There are different kinds. There are earthbound negative entities, people that were nasty in life and they're going to be nasty in death. Yes. And they can make you see them as a 10-foot shadow person, and really they're a short, fat, balding guy who never got any respect in life, but he was darn sure going to get it in death. Then you have a true negative entity is something that cannot and has never been able to take on human form. They cannot be reborn into the physical world. The only way they can take on a human form is by possession, nothing more. And there are different classifications as far as I've learned over my 46 years. There are the minions, which are, like the shadow person's a minion. The little creepy crawly dudes that run around and annoy me are the minions. Then there are the lesser demons, which I liken to, they're the younger demons that are like teenagers on steroids. They want to create chaos. They want to create pain. They want to make your life miserable. And then there are the old demons, which I liken to archangels because they're more intelligent. They don't most of the time mess with us because we're not worth their time and energy. And then there's Lucifer and the three that are under him, his first in command and the other two. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, there is that hierarchy there. If you've got an archangel inside of you, it's like there is, they will bow to you. They will, respect your wishes. I've had Lucifer come and ask me for help from time to time. And it's just a matter of, because of Ariel, and he knows she can get the job done, then he comes and asks her for a favor. And in return, he owes her a favor. Mm-hmm. So she holds on to him until she needs him for someone.
So what kind of favor would the mighty Lucifer need, for example?
There was an instance, like any military situation, if you get somebody below you, like say your first in command, that wants to take over your job, take over your position, and they're working, they think they're working covertly to try to undermine you and get you out of that position. This is what occurred 2 years ago. They were creating this first in command. I call them George and Gracie because, it fits there because they're both stupid. They were building this dark portal, and it was going to be a huge one. They had used this human to gather together all of these objects which had old demons attached to them in one place. And with their help, they were creating a portal, and it was going to be ugly. I mean, there was going to be a huge amount. So suddenly I get a message from Michael, and he's like, Vegas. I'm like, I hate Vegas. He's like, you're going to Vegas. I'm like, no, I don't want to go to Vegas. He's like, you're going. And then Lucifer says, I have a job for you. I will owe you big favor for this one. And Ariel's like, more than one. You're going to owe me 3 big favors for this, because this is a 3-favor job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went down. It was in the location. I didn't even have to go into the location, but the Legion was there, and we had a couple of battalions of the warrior angels that surrounded the locations that nothing survived. Nothing could survive. And we destroyed them all. I mean, they had to be destroyed. And if it was a human situation, there would be blood on the ceiling, there would be blood on the walls, there would be blood everywhere. But fortunately, they don't bleed. They just kind of dissolve into molecules. But once that was over, and I told Lucifer, I said, you better be wiser on who you pick for your second in command this time. And he's like, don't worry, I will. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I still have those favors. I haven't utilized them. But anyway, but that's the kind of thing that has to happen. And for him to acknowledge that it's actually even a problem would be a problem. Or like right now, there's a lot of rogue demons out there. They're going against him. They're doing what they want to do. And some of them are older demons. So
that's a concern.
Yeah.
So he's too smart for that.
Yeah, no, not the ones I've been running into. They have agendas. And I told Lucifer, I said, okay, I'll deal with them. But for everyone I take out, you owe me. Everyone. So he tries to, find them before Ariel finds them. It doesn't always work, because really, if you stop and think about it, if these guys are going rogue, then he doesn't have control. And that's an issue with, that's an issue with the other older demons, knowing that he doesn't have a handle on it. So that's the only reason he requests help. Because, and as Ariel has told him, she's told him, you screw with me, and hell won't be big enough place for you to hide, because I will find you and I will take you out. There will be no problem. And he knows that. And that's why he knows she's good at what she does, and that's what we do.
Question in the chat. Patricia Ramirez, my 12-year-old sees little shadow people in her room. She has started sleeping in our bed. Any advice?
Yeah, it sounds like those are some of the creepy crawly dudes. I hate them. They're so annoying. The best thing to do is to pray. The prayers help. But if they're looking in on her, she must be going to be a light worker. She must have abilities, is usually how it is. And you have to get rid of them. And do not sage, because that'll piss them off. And the activity will get worse, noticeably worse. So right now they're just kind of nosing around. From what I can get, they're just kind of nosing around. And hold on a second. All right. Okay. Okay, so I just told them to back off, leave her alone, and don't come back. Otherwise, they'll have to deal with Ariel. So they don't want to have anything to do with her. They won't be back.
Okay.
If you do have an issue with them, return issue, just email me and I'll take care of business.
Perfect. There we go. Problem solved.
Yep.
So hello, Dolly. And Pedro used to see shadow people when they were younger too. They seem to be very prevalent. You see them all the time. I've had people capture them on video. They just seem to be real pain in the arse, shall we say.
They are. But
They
the
are.
only thing nice about them is they don't travel in packs. They like their
It's true.
own. They
It's
like
true.
their own territory. It's like, this is my territory. I don't want anybody
Yeah.
else in it. Just stay out.
Mhm.
And you can deal with that because it's one-on-one, and it's like, yeah, okay.
Exactly. It's true. You don't often. Not that we haven't hit locations that have had multiples, but they're usually off different areas. They're not all
Right.
traveling
They like
together.
their own. Yeah, they
So
like their own
yeah,
little territory.
they just seem to be like an infestation.
Yeah.
Good times. So how to tell if a negative entity is earthbound? Is it an earthbound spirit? Is it mental illness? Is it, because that's a really tough question, actually, because even working with people, I've had to work with psychiatrists. I need to get permission from a psychiatrist or psychologist to work with someone who may have been put on medication for what they're going through. And if the meds don't work, that's usually a dead giveaway that there's something else. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, usually if I get like a call or if I get an email or whatever, I can tell whether there's really something there or whether there isn't. And every now and then I get one that there's nothing there. And I have to be very careful about how I say, it's a mental illness, but I don't say that. I say, well, what's there is good. Don't worry about it. It's okay. They're watching over you. If you need help, you may find somebody, a counselor to talk to. I said, but you've only got good ones around you. It's okay. That type of thing. And if they need more help, then I have somebody that is connected with me that can help. But for the most part, people seem to be satisfied with the fact that, oh, okay, so it's not bad. So it's okay. I'm good.
Yes, so. I think that's where it gets sort of touchy because if, can these entities cause certain conditions? Yes, of course. But they're also good at amplifying pre-existing conditions. So I'll say, well, if you suffer from depression or anxiety, PTSD, addictions, I sort of throw it out there like that in a whole big bowl of stuff. I'll say then, yes, they can amp it up. So of course you want to change what's here so that doesn't happen.
Right. And you just don't dwell on it. And, that's the thing. I'm like, I know the moment I make the connection if there's anything negative there, or if it's just some grandma coming to visit,
Right.
And it's like I try to talk to them and and give them a little information, how to tell whether it is, whether it isn't, what to do, that sort of thing, so that they can. I try to empower people to help themselves because it's very important to empower people to help themselves.
100%.
And if they can do something to help themselves, all the better. Like, when I go and do a removal or I do a removal remotely, I usually end up sending them black salt, and I tell them, this is what you have to do. This is how you lay it down. I send all the instructions with it and everything. And I tell them, I said, one of the things I learned on the other side when I was dead was that thought becomes reality in their world and in the dark world. I said, and it's the intention behind the thought that gives it power.
Correct.
So that, your intention is to protect your home by laying down this salt, and the words are just words you want to say because you need to say something. You need to empower them to say something. Yeah.
Yes.
And so that's the best way to do it. And I really think that's why I wrote a medium's guide to the paranormal, and I wrote the dark side of the paranormal so people can understand what they are, how they work. They do have weaknesses. They're not all powerful. They do have fears. This is how you can protect yourself. And people need people need that information so they can help themselves. I can't tell you how many people have, contacted me and said, your book helped me so much. It helped me to understand what was going on. It helped me all the way around. And it's good. That's what it was written for.
No, I agree. Empowerment. Acknowledgement is empowerment.
Yeah.
You really can create your environment to be many things. And these things are just waiting for that invitation. And children, I find, are the most vulnerable because of the whole shape-shifting thing. They can come across as being a little friend, a little animal, playmate.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's easy to get an invitation.
Right. So they gain your trust,
Yes.
and then they move on and they start doing having you do little things that you're not supposed to be doing. And if you don't do them, then they turn nasty. It's like, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I
right.
tell people, if you're on an investigation, if you're in a location, if, you see something that's a negative entity, do not acknowledge it, because to acknowledge it is to make it see you. And you don't want to let them see you. You don't want to make them see you. You don't want to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you want to remain as inconspicuous as possible.
Yes, 100%. So let's say something comes in. What should people look for?
If something comes in, okay, if you're trying to differentiate, like whether it's a human,
Mm-hmm.
Negative spirit, or if it's an inhuman. Okay, well, human negative spirits, you'll get the cold spots. There's more physical stuff. You'll get the cold spots. They may move things. The hair may stand up on the back of your head, your neck, arms, whatever. And they may talk to you. They may try to push you, things like that. Okay, that's a human one, and they're easy enough to get rid of. You can, tell it to get the hell out of your house.
Mm-hmm.
You may just, sage it, whatever. Those are the easy ones to get rid of. If it's an inhuman, you're not going to have those physical traits in the way that there's cold spots. What you're going to have is you're going to feel cold on the inside of your body, the core of your body. It's like it could be 100 degrees outside, but inside you feel like a block of ice. And you may get, the air may feel heavy and thick and stagnant. You may get this horrible feeling in the pit of your stomach. You may see dead animals, insects. Things can be attracted like that. You may smell rotting meat or flesh, or you hear growling. Yeah, I'm here, growl.
Yeah,
things like that. They may try to scratch you. If they try to scratch you or bite you, it's usually the scratches come in threes because of the mocking of the Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's their calling card. Or they'll be rapping on the walls or the windows or whatever, or the floors in rhythms of three. That's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It's their MOs are pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm.
Although they have been changing recently, unfortunately.
They're adapting.
Yeah, they're evolving. Demons do evolve.
Like anything.
Recently, in the last couple of years, I ran into a couple that, if they were human, I would say they were psycho. And because they don't, usually a demon will travel with its little creepy dudes, its creepy crawlies, like a shark with pilot fish. But these two didn't have any of that, didn't react in the same way. Their thinking was totally off. I went into their minds, and it's like, holy crap, you're insane. You're not acting normal for a demon. Even the other demons don't want anything to do with them. I'm like, ooh, that's pretty bad. And I'm like, okay, I'll just off you guys, and then we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Barbecue takeout, it's gone.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Just like that. So Pedro says, a human negative spirit, are they dead people who wish bad on you?
They're dead people who were nasty in life, and they haven't ascended, so they're going to be nasty in death. They retain that.
Correct.
Their lovely personality.
Yes. Because, Pedro, it's the essence that makes up the individual. It's not the physical. So if the physical ceases to be, the essence continues. So if you're a bonehead in life, you're going to be a bonehead in the afterlife. And now you're kind of in trouble because, you got nowhere to go. You're grounded. You're stuck. So, you just keep on wreaking havoc. And once you've realized I can wreak said havoc, then it becomes a game.
Fun.
Right? Yeah. So they like that. So people who tend to attract these things sometimes by chance, children, people who are grieving, mental disabilities, mental illness. Yes.
People that are actually people that are in the clergy will attract them. unfortunately for them. And even, like I've found even devout Christians, Catholics, whatever, for whatever reason, they'll attract them. I know that they try to get a hold of, the clergy and stuff because it's like a feather in their cap, if they can turn them away from the light into the dark.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also attracted by clutter, chaos. They
Yes.
like chaos. They like clutter. It's like, okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in an abusive situation, whether it's, you grow up from an abusive situation or you're currently in an abusive situation, if you're being treated for mental illness, if you have abilities and you don't even know you have abilities, and, you're putting things out there and you don't even realize it.
Right.
They're like, ooh, look, a live one.
Yeah, we like this one. Look at this. This is something right here. So,
There's a door open. Let's do it.
yeah. Wayne says, where do young demons come from? Are they born or otherwise created in fine other way?
It's okay.
Yeah, what? It's right there at the bottom. You can see it.
Oh yeah, there you go. In order to answer that, you have to understand where we come from in the beginning. So at one time we had, this is God and I sat down one day and had a nice conversation about this. He's like, in the beginning, said we had physical bodies in another quote unquote galaxy far, far away. And that's where God found us, or the greater consciousness, whatever you want to call it. And he helped us grow and evolve. He helped us to stop warring between each other, stop the hatred, curing diseases. And in the end, it was all about the pursuit of knowledge. That was a big thing, the pursuit of knowledge, and having that knowledge help, add to, the perfection of their society. But they evolved over time into pure energy. And, it took, thousands of years to evolve into pure energy. Once they did, and once everybody was through evolving, we traveled as one unit, so to speak, throughout the galaxies, everywhere. We traveled for hundreds of thousands of years, seeing everything you could see, and, just experiencing everything we could from that point of view. And then there came a time when, most of the souls said, listen, we'd like to be physical again. We'd like to have children. We'd like to know love. We want to do this. And Lucifer and his followers said, no way, man. I'm not going there. I do not want to be subject to a shell, to pain, to growing old, to disease. We do not want that. And God said, I'm not going to force you. It's all about free will. He's like, Lucifer was, of course, waiting for his chance. And he said, no, you're forcing us. So that's what started the whole quote unquote war between heaven and hell. And once the war was over, and Lucifer was disarmed by Michael and his son was disarmed by Ariel. And God said, I'm going to give you exactly what you want. I'm going to make sure that you never are able to take on physical form. He says, but you can't live among us. So he opened up a rift into a dark realm, and they ushered him in there, and there are 2 guards at the opening to the rift. The rift was closed, and Azrael and a few others are on the other side waiting for those that want to change and come back to the light. They've had a few takers over the centuries, but not very often. But they also have eyes and ears on the other side, which helps me, with the connection. And so that's what it is. They are the younger ones are the last ones to evolve. That's how they're quote unquote created.
Right. Very interesting. Zach, you're hilarious. Nobody panic. I've arrived. Okay, good. Welcome.
Okay. Now that we know, we're good.
We're all good. All is right in the world of the outer realm.
Yeah, we're good.
The gang's all here. All right. No, that is interesting because I've had people say with when it comes to certain demonic entities, that they feel that they still have deep inside, that there are those who still feel, they can still feel a bit of compassion. They can still feel love and affection.
There's a little bit of light left
Yes.
in each one of them. But
Yes.
most of the time they squish it down because they don't want to go there with it. Every now and then I'll come across one that doesn't do that. One such demon is one I kicked out of a building, and I'll call him Herb.
Herb.
Next time I saw him, the first time I saw him, he was darker than dark. And then the next time I saw him, he was like a charcoal gray, but only lighter. And I'm like, Herb, what's up with you? What's up with that? He's like, I let the light grow. He says, I need your help. He's talking to Ariel. He says, I need Ariel's help. I need for her to speak to Lucifer. He says, I want to be a go-between between the living and the dark realm. He says, I want to help facilitate, getting answers, stopping things. I'm like, okay. And Ariel knows that he's sincere and that, and she told him, she says, okay, I'll talk to Lucifer about it and see what he has to say. So a couple days later, she talked to Lucifer, and he said, well, if the old ones are on board, then he can do that.
Right.
So a couple days later, I got a response for him, and I said, listen, they said that they're on board with it, so it's okay. So you can that'll be your job. And so he's been doing that ever since. It's been the last couple of years. And he comes to me from time to time with a problem, and it's like, okay, yeah, whatever, no problem.
So he's sort of a go-between between the dimensions and living in the dark realm. Yeah, interesting. It would make you wonder why you would want to be the liaison, so to speak, as Pedro says.
Well, his reasoning is, if we stop a lot of this needless pain and suffering for the white light souls, which are inhabit the bodies, he says, then there'll be a greater understanding. And that's what he's seeking, is greater understanding between the two sides. He'd like to stop the whole situation, but he knows that he can't do it alone.
Unfortunately not. We have humans who are dark individuals who think nothing of causing harm to the living, to their own people.
Right.
Most people will say, look to the governments. It's a good place to start, I guess, not naming any names.
Right, exactly, yes.
And the hate mail to Joe Montaldo, producer, UPRN network. But, religion being another one, control and things like that. So it's very difficult to imagine, like, that's not something you can just stop, because that's a machine that is picking up momentum every
has
single
been going
hour,
for centuries.
every day.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's.
But I applaud him for the fact that he's willing to help. He's willing to start something in that way.
Yes.
And he has others that have decided to help. So he's got about 12 others that are helping. And so he does what he can and when he can. So, it's like God says, he says, everybody blames me when something goes wrong. Why do you hate me? Why are you punishing me? He says, I don't have to do anything. You guys are good at messing up your own lives. Hey, I don't do anything. He says, you guys screw up your own lives,
Yes, exactly. So what is your take on one where you get to, let's say, an older one, or maybe one under, who has, let's say, a lineage, who has followed along with a lineage for, thousands of years?
Oh, a demon, you mean?
Yes.
That's followed, like, are we talking about like what people call a curse, where they'll be...
No. Who's just been in, there's mention of this specific one throughout generations, going back as far as a couple thousand years.
Oh, yeah. The repeat offenders. Yes.
Sometimes, from what I understand, in a bit of a protective nature, maybe an overseer type of situation because of that specific bloodline?
Yeah, they're not as prevalent as you would think,
Mm-hmm.
but when I do run into them, which is very, very rare, but, we sit down. They're one of the few that I will sit down and have a talk with because
Yes.
I want to know why they're doing it, what started it, where the whole concept of it was created and when it was created and things like that. So we do have a nice conversation.
Yes.
Ariel does not kill it. She, because there is that respect. She
Mm-hmm.
does, make sure that she sets down her boundaries and limitations.
Right.
And they must adhere to it.
Mm-hmm.
And with a mutual respect, that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever heard of any of them that have not respected those boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to sit down and talk to them. You have to find out, where this began, where they want to go with it, what they want to do. And it's not all about, creating not every demon is all about creating problems for the humans. Like I said, you get these ones. And a lot of the times it's a question of matter of studying this. Studying why humans do the things they do and why the souls, white light souls will, cause problems in the physical world. And they're just not, they're not understanding why. So they're all about studying and becoming aware of it so they can get a greater understanding. They're about getting a greater understanding. And I tell, Ariel tells them, trying to understand the humans, might as well hang that one up. Says you can study them all you want, just don't interfere.
It's like a prime directive.
Yeah. And, you have to set boundaries and limitations because if you don't, they're just going to do what they're going to do. And they fear her enough to adhere to the boundaries and limitations. So it's just, it's an uneasy truce, so to speak.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. It's definitely something that I found intriguing. Let's put it that way. So I guess time will tell. Without talking to 2 million people.
Yeah, true. That's true.
Okay. Myths about what will protect you from negative entities. I like that one.
Oh, I love those things. It's like people tell you, well, you can, get some brake dust and you sprinkle it along the entrance to your home and that will protect you. I'm like, really? Ooh, I'll make some money. That doesn't protect you. As you know, walking backwards in a circle 3 times will not protect you or ward them off. Sleeping with tobacco under your pillow will not ward them off. Crystals won't help you. Crystals amplify energy. They do not, keep things away.
Yeah, I think it depends on the crystal. Crystals, yes, but things like I find what works for me, black tourmaline. I find people who have used it, again, intention, have been successful with it.
Because the demons I removed from this guy, and he had like 80 pounds of black tourmaline, did not help him one little bit.
They must have thought he was worth fighting for.
Not one little bit. So it's like, okay. Right. Yeah, I mean, he sent me, when I removed the demons, he sent me a big, huge block of tourmaline. I'm like,
very nice.
Okay. All right, I'll sit in the house. Yeah, I'll sit there. But he has the ability to communicate with rocks. He has that ability. So it's like, it's kind of cool for him. I'm like, yeah, they don't talk to me much. I'm not that interesting for him.
No, I do find it interesting because they do have a frequency and vibration, and I think thought form, imprinting, things like that.
Yeah, he actually hears them like we're talking.
Interesting.
Which is quite interesting. I thought, well, he is a rock guy. There we go.
I love that, actually.
Yeah, he loves
I
them.
do.
He just loves them. And I go to a crystal shop. He's like, "Ooh, take pictures, take pictures. I want some."
Well, it sounds like a
Like,
fetish sort
okay,
of thing, isn't it? Yeah.
it is. He says, "What does
Okay.
it look like? Does it resonate?" I'm like, "You're asking me. I'll send you a picture."
Just yeah, how do I know? They don't talk to
I was
me.
like, they're
So
not talking to me. I said, "This one's pretty powerful." Oh, good, buy it, send it. I'm like, okay, fine.
there we are. Okay, so that doesn't work.
That
Okay.
doesn't work.
Okay.
A cross without the image of Jesus will not really work.
Right.
Prayer is a great one for, keeping them at bay. It's really, prayer is powerful, and invoking the name of Jesus and God or whatever deity that you have this absolute faith in.
Mm.
And those will work. The black salt that I make is created in a certain way, and God blesses it at each step of the manufacturing of it, because I make it by hand,
Mm-hmm.
and it's never failed in 40 years. So
Very nice.
that will help. That will help protect you. You can carry it on you. My sister group in England, when they go do investigations, when they can always tell, because they put it in the black salt into like a cremation necklace,
Mm-hmm.
and the salt heats up when it's protecting.
Mm-hmm.
They said it gets almost too hot to wear because, if there's anything negative nearby.
Very
But
interesting.
it's, and of course having, being positive and having a lot of faith helps.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't have any fear. And if you do have fear, calling on the archangels will help. Michael will help, and Gabe and Raphael. They'll all help.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a problem there. But for the most part, I wish I could say there's something that would absolutely 100%, keep them away 24/7. But really, there isn't anything. If their
Pedro
intention
says to
is,
eat the salt. Keep your sodium high. Keep back doors closed for attacks. Yeah, you're probably not wrong, Pedro. Eat the black salt.
Ingest it. Yeah, no. I don't tell people to do that. No.
No.
Holy water helps to seal the home. Anointing oil that's been blessed.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that's blessed.
But does that have
will
to
help.
do now with, let's say, blessed? Okay, so we can get into different religious backgrounds. The Catholics.
Okay, so
okay,
I guess I just have to
work with mindset. Yeah,
differentiate. It's blessed by God.
Right.
Blessed
Wanted
by
you to
God.
just reword it because there are many backgrounds.
Yeah. I mean, you could be a rabbi, you could be a Buddhist,
Yes.
whatever. It's all about asking for God's blessing on it.
Right.
Okay. That's the ticket right there.
Right. Or like Tom says, calling the angels. There we go.
Yeah.
So
Ariel's a little busy though, but you have to leave her alone.
There we go. So, okay. So basically that's what works. That's what doesn't work.
Yeah.
So let's get into a little bit about a physical manifestation or characteristics, physical appearance, things like that. Aside from the eyes, what do you see? 9 feet tall. Some people have said they've seen some 7, 9, big, 12 shrimps.
Yeah.
Well,
they can, like I said, they can make you perceive them as they wish to be perceived. They'll look
right.
into your mind. They'll find your preconceived idea of what they should look like, and they'll amplify that, 10 times. Anything to elicit fear.
Right.
But the way I see them in their true form is that way. They're 7 feet tall, 12-foot wingspan. The old ones are anyway. Yes. And they have the eyes that are the different colors, and the face is just everything evil you could ever think of, heard of, imagine in your lifetime. It touches you down to your core, so that it just like reaches inside of you. And so it makes me glad people can't see what I see because of that. It's bad enough, they have these preconceived ideas and they're shown that this half goat, half man, just whatever, just dragon, whatever, they show themselves as they whatever will elicit the most fear from you. then they're
Right.
like, yeah, baby, let's do it.
Right. Well, of course they know you. They're picking up on your thoughts, on your
Right.
energy, so they know pretty much which way to manifest.
Yeah. Yeah. They can look into your mind and pull it right out. And they're like, oh, okay. So I get to look like
Right.
this time. That's not going to be like Mary had a little lamb, but hey, okay,
Right.
we're good.
Right. So when you're dealing with attachments, possession, what happens if someone's eyes can change multiple colors? Black, red, slit, yellow, regular eye colors that change all the time. Green, blue. That's, slate.
That's the possession. It's like
Right.
when I went to help that lady. It's like I took my friends with me and I'm like, I knock on the door and she opens it and her eyes are totally black and she's growling at me in Aramaic and then she slams the door. My
Right.
friends are like looking at me like, what the heck just happened? And I'm like, don't worry about it. So I
But
knock on the door.
that's a pretty extreme one. I mean, there are people who actually, that I've encountered that do all those things and they look pretty damn normal. They behave pretty damn normal. Their horns aren't out yet. They aren't foaming at the mouth. They're just fully functional everyday people.
Yeah, well, she's functional until I get in the same room with her.
Yeah.
Until I knocked on the door again and she opened it and she looked normal. But, I could see the demons inside, but it's like, oh, okay. My friends are like, and then, when I'm in the process of doing the removal, of course, they come forward and, you have the black eyes and the growling and stuff. And as I killed off each one of them, it's like, you just got a little less and a little less. And it's just like, okay. For me, that's normal. So it's like, for them, they're like, oh my God. I'm like, keep praying. Whatever you do, just keep praying.
Praying. Right. So essentially, if they can possess you, they can cause you physical harm. They can kill you. You have a whole group of people, researchers like, no, spirits can't kill you. Demons can't kill you. And I'm like, I don't know, man. If you're at the receiving end of a heavy object flying through the air and it nails you in the grape, I think it could kill you.
Yeah. Or when they reach in and squeeze your heart. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have worked with people that has actually happened to.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what happened to this ordained minister I took on another location before this. It's like he reached in, tried to shove his wife down the stairs, and it's like, it's like I stopped at both, but it's like, you don't understand. Mm-hmm. This is what they can do to you. It's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it is.
I think they can do it quickly, and I think there are other times, based on people I've worked with, where that grip just stays on. And it just slowly,
squeezes. The pressure can build up.
Yes. Yeah. And the doctors have no idea what's going on. Yet you get rid of the entity and all of a sudden, this is miraculous recovery.
Yeah. You're healed. Yeah. You don't know, we don't know what caused it, but now it's gone. We're good. Okay.
No, exactly. So I've always been of the mind also that I believe we are made up of energy. The body is very fragile. It really is. And I do believe that some of the beings out there, whether they be demonic, whether they be in spirit form, whether they be extraterrestrial, I believe that we are pretty easy to kill.
Yeah.
I do believe that.
We're very fragile. Yeah. And that's the thing, because we are so fragile, it's such a problem for the other side, for the good ones. Yes. And there are, hundreds of thousands of warrior angels that are in the world today, walking among us, keeping eyes on things. And then there are, over 50,000 warrior angels that are reborn into physical and into the physical world. And I encounter them. I try to help them. I get the merge to happen so that they can now utilize their angel and talk to them, understand them, have a symbiotic, relationship like I have with Ariel. It doesn't happen overnight, but it happens. And I have two such that I've just finished helping. And their warrior angels are on it. And a lot of people think that warrior angels are just warriors. But like in any military, there are the social workers, there are the fighters, and there are the counselors. It's all about what your genre is.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, I have these two. There's one of them is a warrior, and the other one is like a warrior, but also a counselor.
Mm-hmm.
So you have those dual personalities, but
Mm-hmm.
they blend well together, and they've worked together on the other side, and they came in together in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's really fascinating. So these relationships that you have, like, yourself with Ariel, for example, can the same thing happen with a malevolent entity merging with someone the same way?
Not in that way. Not in that
Not
way.
so much
Yeah.
possession.
It's
Just
possession, not the other way. They don't want it. They do not want to be subject to the shell.
mm-hmm.
They want to be able to travel. They want to be able to go at a moment's notice.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time they do a true possession is if their intention is to basically cut and run, kill the person, get it over with, and move on.
Right.
Because they won't do that. Lucifer's like, no. No. We don't want that. We don't want to deal with that.
But yet there are those who do it.
Yeah, there are those who try it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they pay the price too. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. Because there are many, like, let's face it, you get an attachment that sometimes possession is like in and out. It's
right.
never like fully
It's not
inside.
full on. Yeah.
They'll get you to either kill yourself, kill somebody else, like eventually it's soul energy that they want.
Right.
But they're essentially doing what they're not supposed to be doing.
Yes.
So what kind of repercussion do they experience for interfering on that level? Because it happens a lot, all the time, every day around the world.
Yeah.
Thousands.
When they do that, Lucifer pretty much, he's like, I don't interfere. He says the repercussions, they pay for it their own self because it ends up taking a toll on them as well. Mm-hmm. Not just the physical person, but on them as well. Because when you stop and think about it, if they're in possession, in and out of a human, and maybe some of that goodness rubs off on them, and they are not happy with how they are, once that, because it's happened, he says, that sometimes they become unhappy, they start questioning themselves and what they're doing, and Lucifer doesn't like that because they shouldn't be doing that. They should be, straight on and not questioning, not deviating from their true personality, so to speak. But he says, I don't like that when that happens. He says, because then you worry about traitors, basically is what he's saying. You worry about them betraying us. Mm-hmm. So if it gets to that point, Lucifer himself will take them out.
Right. Yeah. Because he would be very busy. Like, this stuff is like, it goes on.
Oh yeah, he has, everything is delegated. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know the messages I get, I'm sure it's along the lines of messages that you get, and there's many others who do this on one scale or another,
Yep.
Okay, so how negatives reach into the mind to influence you and the people around you? That's a curious one.
It's all done telepathically, of course.
Yes.
Just as Ariel speaks to me telepathically, or can get into their mind telepathically, she can see into their mind just as they can see into yours. It would be like a sci-fi movie if you could, some of the old ones where you read the person's mind. You go in there and you read their mind, reach in and touch someone, so to speak.
Right.
That's what they do. They delve into that corner of your mind where all your fears are, all your worries are, if they're just looking to scare you. If they're looking to attach themselves to you to cause real harm, they will look into your mind to find your weaknesses, your strengths. I mean, who's important to you, what's important to you. And then they'll start systematically, isolating you, getting rid of anybody and everybody that could be any kind of support to you. They make your health go downhill. They make your finances go in the toilet. Your concentration goes. It's just your life goes in the toilet.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Somebody else is in the driver's seat and pulling the strings, and you're just going along for the ride, basically.
Yeah, that's it. People don't understand the changes in you. They'll see changes in you, and they're not sure what's going on, if you're losing your mind or whatever. And you say, I hear this or I hear that, and they're like, I don't hear any of that. What's wrong with you?
It is a tough call because, from a medical standpoint, there's a really fine line between, an oppression, infestation and, let's say, psychosis or schizophrenia. I mean, shoot, even psychokinesis or telekinesis,
Right.
there's a lot of ways that things can be explained away,
right,
which is on the side of the negatives because
right. Yeah, that's what they want. It can mask they can mask it as other things and make you think that you're going crazy, that you need to see, you need to be on drugs, which will make you easier to control,
of course,
all the way around. So it's hard. My issue is, I've been in medicine a long time, 46 years, and I've seen all kinds, and that's why I don't work hospitals anymore. Because the demons kind of like to hang out in hospitals, care facilities, things like that, And I got tired of having to, kick them in the butt and get them out of there. It's like, you know what? My whole shift should not be that. I need to be, I need to get out of the hospital venue and work in a private clinic. And so that's what I did. But, it's really, people don't understand how prevalent these things are out there and how they influence people, not just everyday people. We're talking about the big guns. I mean, it's there. If you look, it's there. But you know what they say? There are none so blind that those who will not see. And they don't want to see it, so therefore they don't see it. I see everything because I don't care. I'm always looking for that negative. And if I see one, it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, people who are very gifted. A family member of someone very close to me, many, many years ago, ended up in a hospital, and he saw a young boy off in the corner, and he saw a dark shadow coming up from the ceiling, and he said, "No, not him. Come to me instead," and basically saved this young little 8-year-old boy. And it's like a switch went off with him.
Yeah.
After that, it was, and still not the same to this day,
Yeah. You can't do that because, it's like when I was in the military and I was working ER work, and we got a call from I was stationed at Air Base during that time, and we got a call from this, the staff sarge of this, platoon. And I'm like, he's like, we haven't seen this guy. He hasn't reported for duty in the last 3 days. Says, and we're going to open up his room. Last time he was seen was at a party. So we're going to open up his room and we need somebody to be there just in case. Yeah, I know what you mean. You're thinking he's a dead body in there and you just want somebody to take it away. Fine, whatever. So me and the other guy, we go and unlock the door, and here's this guy sitting in a fetal position up against the wall. And here's this demon over on the left side waiting.
So he knew.
It's like, I'm just waiting for him to croak so I can take his soul, no problem, And I'm like, I ignored it completely. This is before I knew what resides within me, and I could see him and everything. And I was like, no. So we get him, I put him on the stretcher, we take him back to the ER, get him in a room. I go back in by myself to start an IV on him. And here's this demon leaning over him, trying to take his soul. And the only thing I can figure is Ariel came forward because all of a sudden it's like, this one's mine, not yours. And whatever it was, he didn't like the look of it because the demon just split. And I went and saw the guy a couple times when he was in the hospital. And he said, I had this dream. He said, I had the dream that there was this demon and it was trying to take my soul. And this angel came and defended me. He says, it was the strangest dream I've ever had. And he's a chaplain's assistant.
Wow.
And he's like, and I said, well, they're trying to tell you something. They're trying to tell you that, God will protect you from the demons.
And he did.
And of course, I never told them anything about anything. I just told them, God's giving you a message. So, they're everywhere, like I said, that was even before I knew what resided within me. But it's like, they're just out for anybody. And like this guy wouldn't have harmed a fly. We found out what happened in the end was somebody put angel dust in his soda at the party. What kind of a moron would do something like that? This guy wouldn't harm a fly.
There are many.
Well, I was 20 at the time, so I was like naive enough to think, who would do that to this guy,
Yeah, there are many. There are many people out there who think this would be.
Of course, I'm so much older and wiser these days.
I'd like to think so, right?
Oh, yeah.
I know. I often see, sometimes you're out and you're just looking at an attachment waiting to happen.
Yeah. It's like, wait for it.
I know, because it's not like you can just go and say, hey, I wouldn't do that if I were you. I mean, I've done that.
Exactly.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
And they don't,
very bad for you.
They don't take it seriously. They don't want to hear it.
No, it's true. It's true.
It's they're going to do what they're going to do. And you just have to be there to pick up the pieces, so to speak. It's like, it's the way it goes. And when they need you, they need you. And those who, it's like God said, I will send people to you. He says, when I do, you will know that they're sent to you for this reason.
Right.
Because they need your help. And he's like, this is what you're to do. This is what you've done in all your lifetimes since I sent you back, and you will continue. And he came to Ariel the other day and said, this is your last lifetime. You can come home for good. And she's like, all hyped up on it. She's like happy. I was like, not until I'm 93. I know when I'm dying. You're not going to go. You can't leave until then.
You're here for a while, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is, though? Do you think it's because the world is in a place where maybe we'll finally find peace? Do you think maybe, I'll say the word Armageddon, maybe we all go back to wherever? Why do you think? Because time is very different for them. It's a lot faster for them than us. So why would you just pull rank on something like that?
Well, it's like
I can pull them out.
Yeah, well, Ariel's like, she's always wanted to go home. She's never wanted to be here in the first place. She never wanted to be human. It's a long battle because she had no compassion for mankind. She thinks
maybe
human.
This was her lesson.
Yeah, it was. That's why she was sent back, because she pulled that demon out of a woman, and the woman died. And he says, you're going to go back and you're going to relive human lives until you learn to have compassion for mankind. And she's like, no, anything but human, But she needed to learn, this is her 131st lifetime. She needed to learn. He says, not only for yourself, he says, but for the rest of us. We've been over here so long that we know the concept of love. We know the concept of hate. We know the concept of, worry. We know the concept of depression, but we don't know, we have lost the actual feeling. We don't know how that feels anymore. So every time she returns to the other side, she lets them see and feel what she saw and felt in that lifetime, so that they can better understand, what man is going through. It's a lesson for them as well.
No, absolutely. Okay. Curses. Do demons have anything to do with curses?
Not always. They're not always guilty on that score.
Right.
As I tell people, I said, well, say your great grandfather pissed off somebody, pissed off a woman, and that was your lover, and you went back to your wife, and so she's really pissed. So that when she dies, she's like, I'm going to come back to haunt you. I curse you for the rest of for all your generations, So what she'll do is when she dies, she attach herself to the great grandpa. And then when he dies, he'll attach herself to the grandpa and then the son and so on. She's, she's wreaking her revenge in one way or another so that nobody gets nobody gets a break.
Right.
And then that's the one way it can be. The other way, it can be a demon. Somebody could summon a demon.
Right.
They could put it on someone.
Sacrificial.
And that person the demon can pass itself down to the generations. If it likes what it sees, it'll just continue, with the next person. It doesn't mind. It's not, it's not particular.
No, for sure.
Yeah, it's not like Hollywood. It's like, oh, I curse her. Yeah.
So can it also be intention that just follows you, and does it become mindset? You believe in it, and therefore it is.
You become, somebody told you, your great grandpa was cursed by this person, and that you will be cursed forever for the rest of our lives, and that's handed down from generation to generation. And so you actually believe that, and of course you've got all that negative belief, and so all of this, so therefore negative things come your way. It's not cool, but it happens, and. If people would just say, you know what, that's done. This is a new time. We're not going to go there with that. We're going to say, God, I'm done with this. We need you. Please take it away and let's start fresh. But a lot of people just see it as what they have to do, what they have to endure, what they have to live with. And thought becomes reality. Thought is empowering. And, hate can travel down the centuries. I mean, really, stop and think about it. When the ghost attaches to you and they hate you, and really that emotion is so strong, just like love is so strong, it can travel down the centuries, and love can protect you and hate can destroy you.
Yeah, I think people need to grasp how strong they are. If I always say this, people find it easier to accept that they have a demonic attachment than they can accept the fact that they are projecting energy and going through some major PKing. That psychokinesis is just like all over the map. They find it difficult to say to themselves, I'm a pretty powerful individual or creature, I'm like, holy wow, I'm doing all this stuff, and it's just easier to think that it's
easier to blame something else. Something else. Yeah. And the first thing, it's like a haunting, first thing people think of, it's just negative. It's not always negative. Most of the time it's grandma or grandpa or whoever owned the house before or whatever, come on, get a clue. Just their brain always goes right away to negative. It's like, oh, don't do that. It's not always that way. It's not always that way.
Because it's fear-based, it's like having an intruder of any sort just lurking around, your space. I live in a really haunted house.
Yeah.
And it's all very friendly. It wasn't always.
Right.
And I find in a way that you have to get used to. It is a bit intrusive.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the shower, one time's in the shower and then all of a sudden the door opens. He's just like, private time.
Right. It's just like living with your relatives. It's like that now. Come on, give me a break.
No, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, it's definitely, I think it's just training yourself to think that, no, it's okay to live with, people, even though you can't see them. Over time, I always say people who live in that situation who think that they have no abilities, all of a sudden find themselves with abilities because they're around these energies that are moving around trying to communicate with them.
Right. And like I said, a lot of times I'll be the go-between. It's like, are you happy with them living there? Yeah. Okay. Now, you can't scare the kids, but
Yeah.
it's okay. You can live here as long as you don't scare the kids and you don't scare the wife, and don't
Yeah.
mess with the coffee machine. Please, for God's sakes, don't mess with the coffee
Exactly.
machine.
Exactly.
Because they need that coffee.
That's it, exactly. And then say to the people, look, Fred's in this room every day at 3:00. At
Yeah.
least say good morning, Fred, or afternoon, Fred, or
exactly.
something.
Yeah.
Just it is sometimes that simple.
People feel a lot better if they have a name to go with the entity too. It's like, Fred, will you stop that? Or Jane, will you just knock that stuff off?
Yes, exactly. To comment to Angel, he was away. Yes, June did answer the question that Wayne asked. It was a good question indeed, which was, where do young demons come from? Are they born or otherwise created another way? So she did answer it. Sorry you missed it. But
watch it again. You'll get it.
Yeah, the archive will be up. Yeah, unfortunately. So, unfortunately, we're getting close to the end of the show. So tell me what you've got coming up. What's next, since we're narrowing down on time?
I'm leaving for the UK, and next month I'll be gone a couple of weeks.
Oh, very
and
nice.
Doing more research for another book, plus going to a wedding.
Very nice. Are they going to let you in?
Oh yeah. Michael said not to worry about it. It'll be fine. Everything will be fine. And I'm like, good. Okay, fine. And then I'm going to be a speaker in October at La Crucis Paracon.
Nice.
I'm going to be going down there and doing giving lectures, and trying to get the last 2 books out in July. I hope to have them out in July.
Good names for the books.
Yeah, Demon Seer, The Beginning. And then the second in the series of the Demon Seekers fantasy books, called Demon Seekers Into Darkness. Its climax happens at Stonehenge.
Ooh, very nice.
I enjoyed my visit to Stonehenge when I first went to England.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you, Zach. Have a good night as well. And yes, we shall see you tomorrow night. In and out. That was quick. So okay. So 2 books, Paracons, wedding, UK. Sounds really exciting. How does everyone find you?
They can go to my website, which is mysticconnections.org, or or demonseer.com. Either one, they feed into each other. You can find me on Facebook under June Lundgren or Demon Seer. Either one will get you there. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. You can, when you go to the website, you can email me. If you have an issue or a problem or something like that, you can just email me, and I usually respond between 48 and 72 hours. But I'm not working 60-hour work weeks as a nurse, that is.
Yeah, because you also do pet psychic readings.
I do.
I'm still like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm still waiting for my, family member. I said, he's the baby. I'm busy. I think she's a bit nervous as to what the cats are going to say to her.
Some people are that way.
One's a real little dick, I have to say. So it's like he's just a little bit of a brat. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll get one done, and then you can see what it's like. So I am going to send forth. I've got like 4 that I want to do, so I will do it.
Yeah, just shoot me a picture.
Pictures. You need names when you do things like this, just for those listening.
No, not really, just a picture. But usually it's nice to have the name, because then, especially if, like, I do a lot of lost animals, finding lost animals and stuff like that, and getting them to go home. So if I connect with them telepathically and I see what they see, and then I tell them, you got to go home. This is where you need to go. They usually come home in a day or 2. So, which is good. Unless they're dead, then I have to tell them. I have to tell the owner I don't like that.
But you can communicate with them even if
even when they're dead, yes. But it's so much nicer when they can come home to mom and dad,
It is. Yeah, because I know with myself, like, I've had so many, but there's one little one that just passed, and she's just she's always in my heart, But then I do rescues too, and
cool.
It's hard because you just don't know their history.
Yeah.
And
See,
you don't know.
I try to help out with the local rescues because I can, get into their head and find out what happened to them and why they're fearful or why they have the bad traits and stuff. And
See,
that kind of helps them to have something to work with,
I think it's great that you do that, because coming from a person who has adopted many, fostered and adopted,
Yeah.
and you just don't have the story. I just know that, spend a boatload on vet bills fixing the physical part of
Right.
everything and working with them to try to bring them out, but without knowing
Yeah.
the background.
What's the root cause of the problem is. Yeah. It makes it
It
more
is.
difficult. Yeah.
It makes it really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And keeping on topic with tonight and pets, we often find pets get attachments. People don't realize
Yeah.
that pets can get attachments. They are little life forms with energies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And they can't speak, right?
Right. The thing is, it's like, I hate it when I get called in on some place where, a couple of years ago, I got called into a place where the pets had been killed by the demon. A rat's head was pulled through a less than half-inch bar of the cage. And
terrible.
the bird's head was twisted completely off. And they were working on the therapy dog, the grandmother's therapy dog. And it's like, really? Just for killing the animals alone, I'll kick your ass.
Exactly.
It's like,
exactly. The nerve.
I know. Animals are important to me. It's like, I like them better than humans.
In many
cases, it's like, I've had so many. It's like, I have a farm. So it's like, I have 2 pit bulls and an old Springer that's 14 now. And she, it's like, I'll always have animals. So it's the way it is.
It's just the true joy. They really are.
Yeah.
And they have histories. Patricia Ramirez, are you able to see animal spirit guides?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There's the 12-year-old girl.
That's the thing. They're so close to God. They're much closer to God than we are. They don't have our hang-ups, our baggage.
No.
That's pure. It's like, yeah, baby, I'm going home. When they die, it's like, when my shepherd died, it's like, Mom, I'm going. I'm like, okay, go ahead. It's your time. You go. And then you just see the spirit leave the body. And it's like, okay. Yeah, we just have to bury the shell. So there we go.
That's it. That's really difficult.
It is. But they come back to you. They love you. They come back to you. I have the 2 pit bulls I have right now are my Dobermans that were sisters. These 2 they have the same build. They have the same mannerisms, everything. And I knew the moment I saw these puppies, that's them. Okay, so I'm taking these guys home. And before that, they were my other Doberman, my male and my female Doberman. So it's just, they love you. They come back. My Springer is the original Springer I had back in, the 70s.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Does that mean I have to get another dog if I want my little, PETA back?
Yep.
Chihuahua with a damn attitude. She thought she was a person.
That's the best kind.
I know. The other 2 are also.
They think they're the size of a Great Dane. Man.
They do. They do. And she was like a little human. She thought she was human, because had to have people food. Like, God forbid, if I had my latte in the morning, she would just sit there and wait for her little sip.
Give you the evil eye. Yeah.
Always. It was ridiculous. Okay, I'm going to have a muffin. Oh, I think I'm going to have some of that muffin. Oh, I see.
There you go.
I understand.
Yeah. So, don't forget me. I'm here. Give it to me.
That's pretty much how it went. Yeah. So, it's funny, but they really are like
they're not spoiled or anything. It's the way it is.
I cannot say that.
I know.
People just look at me and go, what?
I know. My husband's saying the same thing. He says, these dogs eat better than I do. I'm like, hey, it's not my problem. You can cook for yourself.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. Oh, no. Like, there's the little personalities and it's funny because now one of the other dogs is picking up some of the same traits. Now, she's only been gone maybe 11 months. And all of a sudden now the other dog is doing things that she's never done before that are exactly like the deceased dog.
Because the other one's hanging around still.
Oh yeah, she's definitely telling her,
Yeah.
Mom likes it when you
Yeah.
do this, so do it. So if
Yeah.
you're
Or
going to
get
poop
some
on
of
the
that.
mat, or if
Yeah.
the other one poops on the mat, you have to bark and tell her. She likes it when you let her know.
Yep.
For whatever reason, they think that.
Snitch.
It's like, all right, whatever, thank you.
Yeah. It's like, snitch, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, all right. Well, I never actually said I liked it. Must have praised one too many times because now the other one's picked it up and it's like, it's my life. Getting
Yeah.
excited
It
about
is
pooping
what
on
it
the mat.
is. Things we do for our babies.
Exactly, always. But it has been a pleasure having you on again. You're just such a hoot. I love spending, the evening with you and having our parlay, so to speak. And you are a wealth of information. And I love how you go out and kick some ass. That's great. That's a bonus as well. So, but let me know when you have your other book ready, and
Yeah, I
maybe we
will.
can do this again and get the whole thing all over again. Get back to the humble beginnings.
There we go.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
joining
having me.
us.
I enjoyed myself. I always do with you guys.
Oh, thank you. It's always a lot of fun. So I always try to keep it really laid back, just like conversation.
Yeah.
That's all. Nothing drilling. I don't think I'm a drill sergeant or anything.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've handled much worse.
Yeah, some of those. When I go in
Exactly.
there, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Wayne says, thank you so much for coming in and sharing so much with all of us. So,
I enjoyed myself. I love to talk with you guys.
oh, excellent. Well, we'll have to do it again.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Thank you very much, June Lundgren. Everybody, say goodbye to June and thank you for joining us.
Good night, everybody. Have a good day.
Hey,
Or
good
night, as the
night.
case may be.
Night, night.
Night, night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, you have to sign out. Perfect. Okay, so we've come to another awesome end of another segment of The Outer Realm. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Huge thank you to June Lundgren for tuning in. Honestly, she is such a delight to have on. I could just have done this for another hour easily. Big thank you to Joe Montaldo, who's behind the scenes taking care of everything. Remember to stop by the UFO Paranormal Network and subscribe. And I believe we have another YouTube also, which is